Hello and welcome to Lily de Silva, lesson 10, and we'll look at exercise 10, section 3, translation into English. As before, as far as possible, try to treat this as an oral exercise. Number 1, Kumara Vanamhi Mittehi Saha Kiritva Bhattam Bhunjitum Gehan Dhavanti. Read again. Kumara Vanamhi Mittehi Saha Kilitva Bhattam Bhunjitum Gehan Dhavanti. So the boys Vanamhi Mittehi Saha Kilitva, having played with their friends in the forest, Gehan Dhavanti, run home, Bhattam Bhunjitum, in order to eat rice. Number 2, Miga Tinam Khaditva Udakam Patum Pabatamha Uyanam Agachanti. Miga Tinam Khaditva Udakam Patum Pabatamha Uyanam Agachanti. So, Miga Agachanti, the deer come. Pabatamha Uyanam, Pabatamha from the mountain, Uyanam to the park. That's accusative of motion. Uyanam agachanti, they come to the park. Dinam khaditva, having eaten grass. Udakam patum, to drink water. This is obviously the infinitive of purpose, in order to drink water. Number 3, Vanijasaputto Bhandani Aharitung Rathena Nagarangachati. Vanijasaputto Bhandani Aharitum Rathena Nagarangachati. So Vanijasaputto, the merchant's son, Nagarangachati, goes to town, and Rathena Nagarangachati goes to town in a vehicle or in a carriage or cart. Bhandani Aharitum, in order to bring. Bhandani Aharitum, in order to bring goods. Yachako Matulasa Kuddalena Avartam Khanitumichati. Yachako Matulasa Kuddalena Avartam Khanitum Ichati. So Yachako, the beggar, Avartam Khanitum, to dig a pit. So Ichati, wishes. Ichati, Avartam Khanitum, wants to dig a pit. Matulasa Kuddalena, with his uncle's spade. Number 5, Amacha Bhupalam Passitum Pasadam hi Sannipatanti. Amacha Bhupalam Passitum Pasadam hi Sannipatanti. So Amacha, the ministers, Sannipatanti, literally fly down together. Patanti, fly, Nipatanti, fly down, Sannipatanti. It's just the way that they say assemble. So the ministers assemble. Pasadamhi, in the palace. Bhupalam Passitum, in order to see the king. Number 6, Gona Uyane Ahinditva Kasakasakitam Agachanti. Gona Uyane Ahinditva Kasakasakitam Agachanti. So the oxen Uyyane ahindidva, having roamed in the park. Agachanti, come, kasakasakitam, to the farmer's field. Una uyyane ahindidva, kasakasakitam agachanti. Number 7. Upasaka samananam danandatum viharang pavisanti. Upasaka samananam danandatum viharam pavisanti. The upasaka, the lay devotees, viharam pavisanti, enter the monastery, datum, in order to give, samananam danam datum, in order to give dana to the monks. Number 8. Ratena nagarangantum puriso gehasma nikhamati. Ratena nagarangantum puriso gehasma nikhamati. So the subject of that sentence, puriso, the man, gehasma nikhamati, leaves the house, literally steps out from the house. Ratena nagarangantum, gantum, in order to go. Ratena nagarangantum, in order to go. Nagaram, to the town. Ratena, in a vehicle, by vehicle. Brahmano vejena saddhim nahayatum udakam uttarati. Brahmano vejena saddhim nahayatum udakam uttarati. The Brahmano, the Brahman, udakam uttarati, in Sanskrit would be avatarati, crosses down or goes down. Udakam uttarati, goes down into the water. Nahayatum, to bathe, in order to bathe. So vejena saddhin nahayatum, in order to bathe with the doctor. Number 10. Choro amachasageham pavisitum uyyane ahindati. Choro amachasageham pavisitum uyyane ahindati. So the thief, uyyane ahindati, is roaming, or here prowling. The thief is prowling in the park. Pavisitum, to enter, in order to enter. Amachasageham pavisitum, in order to enter the minister's house. Choro amachasageham pavisitum uyyane ahindati. 11. Siho pabbatam hi sayitva uttaya migam hantum uruhati. Siho pabbatam hi sayitva uttaya migam hantum uruhati. Siho, the lion, sayitva, having slept, pabbatam hi sayitva, having slept on the mountain or after sleeping on the mountain, uttaya, having got up, uruhati, descends, migang hantum, hantum, to kill, migang hantum, in order to kill deer. 12. Udakam uttaritva vatani dhovitum rajako puttam pakkosati. Udakam uttaritva vatani dhovitum rajako puttam pakkosati. So the rajako, the washerman, udakam uttaritva, having gone down into the water, vatani dhovitum, in order to wash clothes, puttam pakkosati, calls his son. There's a slight ambiguity here in the Pali. It could be either having gone down into the water in order to wash the clothes, he calls his son, or having gone down into the water, he calls his son to wash the clothes. It could be either. Udakam uttaritva Patanidhovitam Rajakoputam Pakusati. Yeah, it could have either meaning. 13. Tathagatam pasitva vanditum upasako viharam pavisati. Tathagatam pasitva vanditum upasako viharam pavisati. So the upasako, the lay disciple, the upasaka, viharam pavisati, enters the disciple. Tathagatam pasitva vanditum, having seen the Tathagata, and in order to do homage to him. The pasitva vanditum, having seen, to do homage. So he's having seen the Tathagata, and in order to be able to pay homage to him, viharam pavisati. 14. Kettam kasitum kasako kuddalamadaya geha nikkamati. Kettam kasitum kasako kuddalamadaya geha nikkamati. So the kasako, the farmer, geha nikkamati, leaves his house. Kuddalam adaya, literally having taken a kuddalam, a spade. But it can just also, as we know, not necessarily having taken a spade, he walks out of the house with a spade. Kuddalam adaya. Ketam kasitum, in order to plough the field. So I hope Lily de Silva never had to grow her own food. If in the key here, taking a hoe, the farmer leaves the house to plough the field, he wouldn't get very far. There it is, even with a spade he wouldn't get very far, but please remember that kuddala is a spade and not a hoe. 15. Sarehi mige vijhitum luddaka sunakehi saha aranyam pavisanti. Sarehi mige vijhitum luddaka sunakehi saha aranyam pavisanti. Luddaka, huntsmen, hunters. Aranyam pavisanti, enter the forest, go into the forest. Sunakehi saha, with dogs. Mige vijhitum, in order to shoot deer. And sarehi, with arrows. So, sarehi mige vijhitum, in order to shoot deer with arrows. Nara gamamha nikhamitva nagare vasitum icchanti. So nara gamamha nikhamitva nagare vasitum icchanti. So men vasitum icchanti, wish to dwell, nagare, in the city, in the town. Nagare vasitum icchanti, they want to dwell in the town. Nara gamamha nikhamitva, literally having left their homes. Gamamha nikhamitva. So this would mean that people want to leave home and go and live in the city, or leave home to live in the city. Sakune passitum amacha kumarehi saha pabbatam aruhanti. Sakune passitum amacha kumarehi saha pabbatam aruhanti. So sakune passitum, in order to do bird watching. Amacha kumarehi saha, ministers with the boys. Pabbatam aruhanti, they climb the mountain. So the ministers climb the mountain with boys to see birds. 18. Pabbatasmarukam akadhitum vanijena saha kassako gacchati. Pabbatasmaruk, rukkam akadhitum vanijena saha kasako gacchati. The subject of the sentence is kasako gacchati, the farmer goes, vanijena saha, with the merchant, rukkam akadhitum, in order to drag a tree, pabbatasma rukkam akadhitum, in order to drag a tree from the mountain. 19. Palani kaditum makkata rukhesu charanti. Palani kaditum makkata rukhesu charanti. Makkata charanti, monkeys move around. Makkata rukhesu charanti, monkeys move around in trees. Palani kaditum, in order to eat fruit, or just they move around in trees to eat fruit. Palani kaditum. Number 20. Pandito sugatassa savakehi siddhim bhasitum ichchati. Pandito sugatassa savakehi siddhim bhasitum ichchati. The pandit, the wise man, or the learned man really, bhasitum ichchati, wishes to speak, sugatassa savakehi siddhim, with the disciples of the Sugata, with the disciples of the Buddha. 21. Samuddam taritva deepangantva vatani aharitum vanija icchanti. Samuddam taritva deepangantva vatani aharitum vanija icchanti. So the merchants wish to cross the sea and go to the island to bring clothes. So in this sentence, of course, it doesn't mean that the desire to bring clothes, vatani aharitum icchanti, doesn't mean that the desire to bring clothes occurs after the crossing of the sea and reaching the island. So they desire to bring clothes, but the bringing of the clothes is what will happen after they've crossed the sea and got to the island. So these absolutives are followed by the aharitum. So the absolutive followed by a verb. There's this is the absolutive plus an absolutive, taritva gantva aharitum. So in order for them to do the aharitum, to be able to bring, they've got to cross the sea and go to the island. So literally, having crossed the sea, the Sambuddham Taritva, having crossed the sea, Deepangantva, having got to the island, Vatani Aharitum Vanija Ichanti, the merchants wish to bring clothes. 22. Puppani Sangharitva Udakena Asinchitum Upasako Kumare Ovadati. Puppani Sangharitva Udakena Asinchitum Upasako Kumare Ovadati. Now here the Ovadati advises, is advising the boys to do two things: to collect the flowers and to sprinkle them with water. So if he was simply advising the boys to collect the flowers, the Sangharitva would also, if that was all it was, the Sangharitva be Sangharitum, to collect. So the Upasaka advises the boys to gather flowers, would be Upasako Kumare, so Upasako Puppani Sangharitum Kumare Uvadati. But he's advising the boys to do two things. And this is the phenomenon now we saw in the previous sentence as well. If there are two verbs in sequence, then the first of them, even though it would otherwise be an infinitive word on its own, or a finite verb on its own, any form of verb on its own, if there are two verbs forming a sequence, the first one will go into the absolutive. So, pupani samharitva udakena asinchitum upasako kumare uvadati. 23. Ajasakayam hattehi pusitum darako ichati. Ajasakayam hattehi pusitum darako ichati. So the child, ichati, wants, to pusitum, to touch. Ajasakayam, kayam, the body, ajasa of the goat. So the child wishes to touch the body of the goat with his hands. Ajasakayam hattehi pusitum darako ichati. 24. Brahmanassa gehe asane sunisiditum rajakasa putta ichanti. Brahmanassa gehe asane sunisiditum rajakasa putta ichanti. So that means that the rajakasa putta, the washerman's sons, ichanti, want what? Ichanti nisiditum, they want to sit. Sit where? Asanesu, on seats. So asanesu nisiditum ichanti, they want to sit on the seats. Brahmanassa gehe, in the Brahman's house. 25. Patum udakam yachitva darako rodati. Patum udakam yachitva darako rodati. So darako rodati is the child cries. Udakam yachitva. So udakam yachitva darako rodati would be a sentence complete in itself. So the child, udakam yachitva, having begged or begging for water, rodati, cries. So patum is somewhat pleonastic here. So as in English, we can say he wants water to drink. So patum udakam yachitva, water to drink, having begged for water to drink. Darako rodati. I will now read through these 25 sentences slowly and try to follow them in Pali as I read them. Kumara vanamhi mittehi saha kiditva bhattam bunjitum geham dhavanti. Miga tinang khaditva udakam patum pabbatamha uyyanam agachanti. Vanijasaputto bandani aharitum rathena nagaram gacchati. Yachiko matulasakuddalena avartam khanitum ichchati. Amacha bhupalam passitum pasadam hi sannipatanti. Ngona uyyane ahinditva kasakasaketam agachanti. Upasaka samananandatum viharam pavisanti. Ratena nagarangantum puriso gehasma nikhamati. Brahmano vejjena saddhim nahayatum udakamuttarati. Choro amachasake hampavisitum uyyane ahindati. Siho pabbatam hi sayitva uttaya viganghantum uruhati. Udakamottaritva vathani dhovitum rajako puttam pakkosati. Tathagatam pasitva vanditum upasako viharam pavisati. Ketam kasitum kasako kuddalamadaya gehanikramati. Sarehi mige vijhitum luddaka sunakehi saha aranyam pavisanti. Naragamamhanikhamitva nagare vasitumicchanti. Sakune passitum amacha kumarehi saha pabbatam aruhanti. Pabbatasma rukam akadhitum vanijena saha kassako gacchati. Phalani khaditum makkata rukhesu charanti. Pandito sugatassa savake sadhyam bhasitum ichchati. Samudam taritva deepangantva vathani aharitum vanija icchanti. Puppani sangharitva udakena asinchitum upasako kumare ovadati. Ajassa kayam hattehi pusitum darako ichchati. Brahmana sagehe asanesu nisiditum rajakassa putta icchanti. Patum udakam yachitva darako rodati. That concludes the Pali to English translation exercises for lesson 10.